Just making sure we're recording there. Oh, hello. This episode of the Pocketnow Weekly is brought to you by Ops Genie. Steve Ballmer said it best. Developers. But may we add, operations. You need your teams to be ready to handle disruptions and planned service outages. And they will be ready with the right escalation and scheduling tools from Ops Genie. Because with Ops Genie, your next incident doesn't stand a chance. Visit opsgenie.com to sign up for a free company account for up to 5 team members. No credit card required. That's opsgenie.com. Never miss an alert again with Ops Genie from Atlassian. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 337 of the Weekly, brought to you by Pocketnow and technically based upon our guests, mostly XDA developers, recorded on Friday, the 21st of December, 2018. Happy Festivus for the rest of us. Isn't it Festivus for the rest of us, right? Happy
Festivus, yeah.
And if you don't celebrate anything ever, well, maybe you're doing life a little wrong. I'm Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? Jaime and Brandon are off this week, but we have a couple of backstop guests. And I see that my video may have frozen a little. It'll come back.
It froze at the right side. You were there. It stopped right there at the logo right there. We're good.
Oh, exactly. It's hilarious. Hopefully it'll come right back. If anything, I'll reset a couple of things. But in any case, our guests are already chiming in. We have the man with the best name for rap lyrics, TK Bay. How's it going, man?
Hey, man, how you doing, guys? I'm happy to be back on the show. Have a buddy of mine here too. Both my buddies here, Josh and Adam. So, good company. Yeah, and of course Jules in the control room. Of course, can't forget Jules.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So the last time we saw you, TK, you were like outdoors. Like this time you're in like your studio setup, is it?
Yeah. Brandon's like, "Are you gonna have a good connection this time?" I'm like, "Yes. I'm back home." What happens though is that every other Friday or so, I generally have work, so I didn't want to, miss out on the opportunity. So I just did it outside on my laptop. Today I'm off, so a little bit better.
Perfect. All right, and then we have a new guest joining us for the first time from XDA, who may have objected to my use of the word backstop.
I like
it. Is Adam Conway? How's it going, Adam?
Oh, I'm good. I'm finished exams and all, so. Yeah, have time to do work and things that aren't staring at a book. So that's pretty good.
Oh, that's right. Winter break starts for you guys now, right?
Yeah. I just finished my exams during the week, so I have until the end of January off now. So that's pretty good.
That's awesome. We might one of these days when we have you on the show, we're going to ask you like your experience as a student then, because like I'm always interested in that, because I started in this.
Well,
and that so we'll have to circle. And he's back.
Oh, there you go. Back.
It's funny. Everything was working just fine until we hit the record button.
Yeah, literally until you hit. Yeah, you were fine up until this point.
Well, I mean, those are problems that we always contend with. Jules knows it. Jules, of course, is in the booth today, so make sure you give him some love in the chats. He'll be monitoring the chat, but also remember that you can get in on the conversation by tweeting us with the hashtag PNWeekly. So why don't we go ahead and get started with our stories? All right. Bendgate again. You can see me just incredulous over this. Apparently, some of the slightly beloved, let's say, Jaime loves the 2018 the 2018 iPad Pros. Apparently, there's not just the propensity for these tablets to bend, but they might actually come bent, pre-bent, if you will. All right, so Apple has confirmed to The Verge, who broke the story originally, that some 2018 iPad Pros might ship slightly bent right out of the box.
It's a feature.
Feature, yeah, exactly.
It's a streamlining of the device. Apparently, they don't consider this a defect, but a side effect of the manufacturing process. And as it says here on the article at Pocketnow, the iPhone maker said it will not get worse over time, and it doesn't affect the performance of the tablet in any way. I'm not too sure exactly how to feel about this. That picture that Jules is already on, that looks pretty horrible. because it's not just a bend. Like if we think about, whenever I think about bending or just like,
Oh, there he goes again.
Usually when it just bends straight, it just kind of, it's just like ever so slight kind of curvature that just looks like a feature, right?
If it's a uniform curve, like the LG G Flex, I'm usually pretty happy about that. But this is like right in the middle, so it definitely looks like a defect. Any thoughts on the new hashtag Bendgate from you guys?
A competitor to Samsung's new foldable phone coming soon.
I think that's what I was going to write. It's exactly where I was going to go. I think it's a new feature we just haven't embraced yet. You're using the phone, you're using the iPad in the wrong way if you don't appreciate
exactly.
it.
It's meant to curve in towards you as if like it's surrounding you.
New curvature.
Is it so?
It kind of does, yeah. It does a little bit curve this way, and
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I don't think it's the right way to go about it.
No, and I think realistically, even from a hardware point of view, if they're acknowledging it, they're not going against it.
Yeah.
I think the realistic thing is to just obviously offer people the ability of exchanging it, not just say that it won't get worse as time goes on, meaning you should just accept it and move on. Because you can imagine, down the road, people looking at these, especially when you try to use it in the case, right? So I can imagine the casing wouldn't even close the right way. And I'm sure, Josh, I got to talk to Josh. Yeah. So Jules is flipping up and down in the image. Yeah, you could see it right there. It's not a, oh man, yeah, that is just a tough picture. But it's going to be one of those things. And Josh is here twice now. I like it.
Wow, that was a very interesting.
I'm having yourself.
Yeah, I am having Jaime levels of connectivity right now. All right, there we go. I think the last thing that I heard before.
on that note, I think overall it's going to be one of those things. I think a lot of people are going to be obviously exchanging. I think it's sad. Obviously we didn't have Unbox Therapy discover this one, but it's.
One of the things they mentioned, though, they said that they haven't seen an increase in like people returning them.
Well, I'm assuming. So this is my theory is because it's around the holidays. So I have a feeling that some of these things are still sitting in boxes.
Yeah.
So they haven't been gifted yet. So I'd say by next week with Boxing Day or Christmas Day, I think a lot of people are going to start realizing these things. So we may see that number go a little bit higher, depending on. It may have been just an isolated case. I mean, very small sample.
Could also just be like, I wouldn't have said that they're lying, but it could be that they're just like, oh, everything's cool, nothing's going on here.
No. We and Jules, your mic is off.
Your mic is still off.
Sorry. Yeah, a lot of technical problems. Sorry, can't get Jules up.
Right.
So Adam, how's your day?
It's gone grand. I've just been writing up some various different articles and such. So just been busy enough day. I got a haircut as well earlier.
Oh, I get it every week.
I
get it every week. It works great. I like the stuff. Yeah, here's Josh's back.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, I'm pulling a page out of your book, Adam, right now. I'm actually on my LTE at the moment.
Hey.
I have no idea what happened there. I apologize, fellas. Okay, getting back into. Did you guys move on to the next story, or are we still on the?
No. We held on.
Okay. The last thing that I think I heard TK say was that hopefully Apple's going to be forthcoming at the very least about providing the replacements. But this is the thing. They're saying that this is not a defect. Like I feel like that's their get out of jail free card, that they don't have to replace all of these devices. So it's, I don't know. I have a feeling there are going to be a lot of angry users out there. And not even exactly. So is this something that you could look past if you were told like you can't replace it? Is this something that you think you could look past on the device if you were, because you're looking at the screen, right? Like it's, unless there was like an aberration inside of the screen itself that made it clear that it's bending a certain way, like it's something that I feel like you can only see when you kind of have it at a horizon like this.
Well, just think of the reflection, right? I mean, even if you're holding it, the light hits it at one angle on one side of the screen, the other side kind of glares off. The good thing about it is it's within a certain period of purchase, you're obviously able to return. They're not going to be able to basically go so far as say, sorry, you can't exchange it. But and especially with the holidays, I'm hoping extended return policies, generally, at least in the US, they allow you to return things, I think, all the way to January or so. So and that's where Adam and I were talking when you were when we were getting back in there. The reason why the numbers are maybe not as high is there's a potential possibility a lot of people have these things in boxes sitting waiting to be unboxed. So you have that timing, that delay. So I would say, yeah, look at it maybe more next week or the first week of January and see if there's maybe more reports of more people returning. But yeah, if I got it in the box, no, that goes back right away. I go down to the Apple store and put in for an exchange.
Yeah, maybe if you're giving if you're about to gift somebody it, just go ahead and like rip it open and just take a look at it and just make sure it's okay.
Exactly.
In Ireland, actually, there's a 6-year warranty period for Apple products, so there definitely won't be any issues returning those. People buying them in Ireland, and that same in Europe, it's 2 years, so yeah, shouldn't be any issues.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Neither of you guys have this iPad, do you?
No.
Okay.
Mostly Samsung and Huawei tablets.
Okay, yeah. I'm using
Chrome OS, but that's different.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'm using a MacBook X Pro right now to, during this podcast, maybe given my technical difficulties, I'm gonna perhaps change that for our next. Well, we also have a little bit more Apple news, and in this particular case, I mentioned Huawei for a hot second, but I just want to mention real quick on the Mate 20 Pro using the in-display fingerprint reader. Clearly, we have some trends going on in Android where we still have things like fingerprint readers. They might be underneath the display. They might be on the back, like with the Pixel 3, which I'm tethering off of right now. But of course, when it comes to Apple, they had done away with the fingerprint reader. They've done away with Touch ID, as they had called it. But apparently, the European Patent Office, the European Patent Office published some patent applications from Apple that included an iPhone that had both Face ID and Touch ID. Now, this is honestly a really interesting prospect because a lot of Apple users, a lot of iPhone users in general, were really upset to find out that Touch ID was no longer going to be a part of their beloved smartphone. So, any thoughts from you guys here about a potential Touch ID return?
Adam, I'll let you start on that one first.
I think the way that they would probably do that, if they were going to do it in some way, would either be scratch the bezel this thing and go, right, okay, return to form, people didn't like it or whatever, or an in-display fingerprint sensor, which I think is the more likely thing that they will do. The only thing I will say is the technology isn't there yet, in my opinion. I have the OnePlus 6T. I'm not a fan of the in-display fingerprint sensor.
Really?
I really don't like it.
What problems have you been having with it?
I think in OnePlus's case, I think they've actually kind of gone and said, this is the cool new hip thing to do. We're going to implement it. And I just don't feel like it's fast enough, or at least the one they've used. I know the Mate 20 Pro, a friend of mine has that, and he says it's pretty decent. But even still, like the OnePlus 6 fingerprint sensor was extremely fast. As in,
that was ridiculously fast. Yep.
Like probably one of the best I've ever used. And I have a Razer Phone 2 there, I have the OnePlus 6T, I have Mix 2S. And it's the fastest out of all of those, the OnePlus 6s. I think OnePlus were trying to force it out the door just to say, we have it. And I feel like Apple isn't going to do that. I feel like this will be something we'll see next generation or even the generation after. But I do think they would probably want to implement both, especially for like payments and such.
Well, I think that the fingerprint readers on the rear of pretty much any smartphone that we've used has always been they've always been very reliable. So I keep thinking to myself, like, why try to break what's already fixed, or why like if it ain't broke, don't fix it is what I'm trying to say.
I would see them putting it there. Yeah, I would see them in introducing it as the new feature of the fact that the fingerprint reader should be in the back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the photo right now of, I believe this is the 10R, and the why not make an in-display? Okay, in-display fingerprint reader technically means that it's underneath the glass. So what if you put it underneath the glass on the back of an iPhone, underneath the Apple logo?
Oh, that would be nice. Actually, that would be a smart use of the logo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what. Yeah.
I think that would be perfect, and that's exactly where like it would be needed for ergonomics.
Yeah.
I think they should just do that. So Apple, I'll
if you're watching, take note. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll wait for my check in the mail.
Please. Yeah.
How about in terms of like doing away with touch biometrics and moving to face biometrics? Do you use face unlock a lot?
So speaking of OnePlus 6T, and where Adam kind of led us into that one, so the OnePlus has one of the fastest face unlocked, devices on the market, and it's not the same as what we see on the Mate 20 Pro with the 3D unlock. It's as far as security and biometrics there. It's hard. It's hard. I had the iPhone 10s Max and even the 10. Switching over to something where I had to look at my phone every time I wanted to unlock it or do something and pay with it, it became kind of it wasn't as functional. I ended up relying more on the PIN. But it is the way we're going. Every phone now has it. Every phone except for the Pixel devices, but that's beside the point. It's one of those things that I think we need to just accept. The fingerprint sensors need to get better, of course, for them to be under the display or underneath the glass the way we have them. But having both of them on the same device and having it being an Apple device, I don't know. So I'm hopeful, but I'm also kind of seeing that Apple never really goes back and thinks, right? Whenever we introduce something, they've never brought, like the headphone jack went away. We never saw it coming back. So I'm thinking this may also be just in case they wanted to cover themselves, or maybe this is like a lower end model of some sort. I'm not sure. It's hard. Apple just generally never goes backwards. So if they've taken it away, they're done. And as you saw with this lineup with this year, it's gone.
Yeah. Apple taketh away, never giveth.
That's usually how it is.
That's a new slogan.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be the silhouettes in their commercials, and at the end of it, it goes, "Apple taketh away."
That's paycheck number 2 on its way to you.
All right, so shifting gears, we're going to go from Apple and go over to a company that hopefully we're going to see a little bit more of at CES, which is obviously around the corner. Adam, I know it's a little bit difficult for you to make it out to Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, but
a little.
Yeah. TK, are you going to be there in a couple weeks?
Oh yeah. No. I got there on the 5th and hit the ground running. Yeah, I mean, our stuff starts ahead of even CES, right? I mean, we're days in advance. So yeah, I'm hoping to be there. I think Jaime is going to be there, and I'm assuming you're going as well.
Oh yes, I mean, I'm registered under Pocketnow, so
well, I'm XDA, so yeah. But yes, yeah.
All right,
looking forward to it. And I think we have some more people from XDA's portal side. Our chief editor Michelle is going to be there as well with us.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So this might be a phone that we would be happy to see there. Now, whether or not this is going to be on the floor at CES remains to be seen. But Lenovo has just announced, or rather made light of their Z5 Pro GT 855 edition. That's a long name. Give it to Lenovo for that one. But not only is this going to be one of, if not the first commercial devices out there with the Snapdragon 855, it also is going to have, and here's a trend that we're getting there, guys. We're getting close to the high double-digit numbers in smartphone RAM. 12 gigabytes in this one.
Yeah, 12 gig. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot to like about the spec sheet on this. I mean, obviously you have 12 gigabytes of RAM. You have a generally bezel-less, like minimal bezel display. It is a Super AMOLED display. In this case, it's a Full HD Plus display, and also the battery is at 3350 milliamp hours. So you may or may not be happy about that. But yeah, it's it's also priced fairly well. The maxed out variant is at the equivalent of about $638, which
that's not that bad.
It's respectable.
It's reasonable for a brand new first of its kind with 855. Yeah.
Yeah. We're just off the heels of the Snapdragon 855 announcement a couple of weeks ago at the Qualcomm Tech Summit. So any thoughts on the 855 in one? Oh, wait. Jules just corrected me real quick, but it looks like that this phone is also, I might have missed this detail. It's a slider phone, apparently?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's got dual selfie cameras, yeah.
Okay, that makes this render make a whole lot more sense. But yes, it is a slider phone. It's just so funny. I didn't see the word slider at all in the write up here, but that's even better. I adore slider. That the fact that sliders are returning. So yeah, let's add that to the mix. Snapdragon 855, 12 gigabytes of RAM, and of course, slider that is returning little by little.
I think think so after you went through the entire list, so my only gripe with this entire spec list, other than the fact that obviously it looks awesome, is what operating
It actually
system
does look
coming out with.
Oh, as in like,
yeah.
do you mean like their own skin of Android kind of thing, or?
Yeah, but it's still Oreo. I mean, it's
Yeah,
literally
that's true, actually.
2019. Come on, got to give us some pie.
That's
We need
really
some pie. It's
strange,
the
actually.
holidays.
That's really strange with launching of Oreo with while being the first with an 855.
So typically we've seen things like that at CES, right? We've always seen like the first version. I think previous years we've always seen like at least one manufacturer that releases some cool tech, like the in-display fingerprint sensor, the pop-up camera from last year. Remember in the CES of 2018. So I think it's really exciting to see something this cool from Lenovo. Is it going to be the be-all best device that we're going to look at? Well, obviously we need to try it out. But from what you guys covered, Josh, you and Jaime from the summit, I'm really excited to see the performance benefit in a device, because you guys got to see like pre-release stuff. So as a consumer, or even prosumer, or even with XDA, I would love to be able to just try it out and see the comparison. Is it really that noticeable? And specifically, again, we're running an Oreo. Can you really get the benefit of the 855 running there, or do you need the optimizations of Pi to be able to get some of the main benefits there? So I would love to play with it. I'll hopefully get some hands-on if they do have a sample with it on the floor, but I'm excited. 855. I can't wait for the new onslaught of 855s to come in.
One of the one of the things I will say is so the 855, one of its biggest additions was the fact that it has, I think it's 3 times faster AI, because they saw like what Huawei was doing with the NPU and stuff for like AI, so they were like, okay, let's make our own AI chip, and they threw that in there. And Android Pie has a lot more AI based features, like they have the adaptive battery, they have the app actions, slices, all that kind of stuff. So I'd say that the real benefits will come from Pi, even just in terms of efficiency. So Oreo, that's why I find it weird to launch on Oreo.
Yeah, when you went like and then it says Oreo, I'm like, come on, really?
Really? So you got upset at Oreo. I was right before you there where it said ZUI 10, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's the base, right? Because at the end of the day, really, some of the main benefits out of the new chipset needs to be with the software, right? I mean, you can give it a Lambo, but if it has an engine of a Pinto, it's not going to work. I think it's still a good move. I'm pretty sure they can push out Pi pretty quickly, or this may just be a typo. Maybe by the time it actually hits the market, it will be running Pi.
Yeah, Jules actually had the exact same mind as me. You were talking, TK, about how CES generally has, historically, there are a couple of manufacturers that come out and say, we're the first ones, check it out. And I will always remember the year that the ill-fated Leiko brought out that Snapdragon.
Leiko. Right, yeah. I remember that one.
Yeah, Jules was pointing it out in the chat, and I was like, I will always remember that, because I remember everyone scrambled for it. Everyone was trying to get that phone, trying to get it on camera, and sure enough, like, not only was it the worst performing 820 phone, it was also from a company that eventually would not even be around anymore.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we're getting dangerously close to all of these manufacturers just straight up saying, you know what, you wanted this, we're putting it in. We're getting you the Sony 48 megapixel camera. We're going to get 16 gigabytes of RAM. You're going to get a 4K display. Like, I feel like we're going to eventually make it
time. Yep.
It's a little bit. It's a little bit terrifying, if you ask me. Like, because we used to. One smartphone is going to cause the singularity.
And it's going to be Lenovo with the first.
With AI, let's not forget, with AI.
Yeah, exactly.
Running Oreo.
Yeah. You get really scared if we go to CES one day and you start hearing rumors of the singularity phone. It just turns out to be the most powerful device ever made. Oh man, it's going to be hilarious. But I wonder if any one of these manufacturers is just going to go balls to the wall with it and just go all in. And I mean, Vegas would be the perfect time to go all in, right? But I think it'd be hilarious. All right, so TK, you flashed out a Pixel a second ago. Are you eSIMing it?
No, no. So that's like my biggest beef about the fact is because it's supposed to be a dual SIM device, but one of them would be an eSIM, right? You're
Hmm.
supposed to be able to use the eSIM in there. But I tried contacting, so I use T-Mobile mostly, but I tried contacting them and I couldn't run it. It wouldn't work on my account.
Really? Okay, so what was the story that we're talking about right now is that T-Mobile launched their eSIM for iPhones for iPhones. So there are a couple of plans made specifically for the iPhones that, of course, support eSIM. So the T-Mobile eSIM app, the app, that you have to use to set it up, it
Mhm.
supports two regular use plans. You have a $40 prepaid one, and you also have this 21-day tourist plan, which I think is pretty awesome. Like if you have an iPhone 10s or a 10s Max or a
Yep.
10R, does a 10R do eSIM or is it just a 10s? I
I
forget.
think it's the 10s. I don't remember the 10R having that, but Jules
Oh, okay.
can probably correct us.
Well, it's definitely in the 10s. So if you have the 10s and you come and you go to and you're from abroad and you come to the US, you could go on T-Mobile and try out the eSIM. You could
Exactly.
have that. It's kind of an interesting touristy travel type of hack. The XR the 10R does.
Okay.
Um, so I use the eSIM on the Pixel all the time, especially when traveling. And
Mhm.
TK, you and I, we've been to China a bunch of times.
Oh yeah.
Project Fi has been savior
A,
of
a
sorts.
godsend. Oh my God. It's
Mhm.
when I talked to you that one time before my trip, I was like, totally different experience than my first trip to China. Like as if I was back home. So yes, no, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah. So eSIMs. This is the thing. Like, why? I'm over here. Like Jules already answered the question in the chat in his own way. But the answer to the question, why would T-Mobile only release this for iPhones? Well, of course, as Jules says, everyone's going iPhone. Like that's always going to be the option, right? So I guess I would ask you guys, why do you think? Why wouldn't T-Mobile like support this on, say, the Pixel, which was the first phone to do something like an eSIM, popularize it? I'm
I think it's
flabbergasted.
probably just carrier branding, I think, at this point, right? Because for the most part, they don't really carry the Pixel and they haven't really like their association with the Pixel is kind of a few years ago, they used to give you a discount to bring your Pixel over to their service. And I remember like it
Mhm.
was the original Pixel, they gave you like $300 credit on your account. And I think there was much better integration there. Um, I'm not sure if it has something to do with the fact that they don't officially, support the Pixel, even though it's just a GSM connection. But they've typically done that in the past. Like even when they released their Digit service, they released it on the iPhone first before they supported Android. And I think it's more of a compatibility thing. It's
Yeah.
easier. I mean, not to not nothing against Android, but because of the fragmentation of the system that or the ecosystem that we have, it's simpler to develop for iPhone and support a certain series of devices and release that first, and then work at adapting it over to Android. Not to say that every Android device has eSIM; it's a limited amount of devices that support it.
Mhm.
Uh, but I just feel like that may be just a gut feeling. Let's support what we have on the shelves right now, and then we work on whatever we can ask people to bring over.
Yeah.
It's just also
Uh,
very. Oh, sorry. Go for
Sorry.
it, Adam.
I just wanted to say, I was looking into this actually just recently, and leading on from your fragmentation point, the GSMA, so basically like the head of like connectivity and all that, like your man was saying before that the big thing they want to avoid when bringing in the eSIM standard is fragmentation. So they're doing it very carefully and very slowly, and that's why partnerships are so slow to roll out because it says it's a lot more complex.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering if that ties into it at all because of the ubiquity of iPhones in the US and the sense that they're all very, very similar. Uh,
Oh, okay.
so that could also play in.
I would have sooner expected. I would have sooner expected to put something out like this because they're in the iPhone pocket in a way.
Mm.
And I think even more so than T-Mobile, honestly. But Jules is also pointing out that the only plans that you can use with the eSIM right now on T-Mobile with iPhones, they're prepaid plans. So,
Mhm.
as exciting as it might be, I prepaid plan, if you're not really into that, they're not even putting an effort to support postpaid plan people like yourself, TK.
Yeah, no, which exactly, and I've been with them for quite some time. It's, it's right now it's not a big issue for me because for the most part, a lot of our devices still support dual standards. You have the eSIM and the standard SIM, but I know at some point that I'm pretty sure manufacturers will find some reason to say they needed the slot, that space that the SIM card takes, that they need to basically remove that to add some type of feature, and then we're all eSIM. And I think it's better for us because it helps us, it saves us from having to worry about the SIM card degradation over time. and it just makes it simpler for us. And then maybe they can, make space for SD cards again, or if that ever becomes a standard again.
I think that the number one thing I take away from this is that the eSIM standard is not a standard. Like it could, it's definitely not. And I would love to see the evolution. I'm looking farther ahead in time now, but like I would love to see the evolution of the eSIM become that you could have like, I know it's not really a thing in the US, but you can have like 3 different carriers on the same phone, and you just hot swap among all of them. You may not be getting full dual SIM or tri SIM capabilities, obviously, but at least you could switch between, like, let's say if I had Google Fi and I wanted to use my Verizon eSIM and all of that. That's kind of like the holy grail in my opinion, because even right now,
even when you travel.
Yeah, exactly. Even right now, I'm using Verizon's LTE. So I'm using that in order to do this podcast. I would not do that if I was on Fi on here, because then I would be paying $90 next month. And then, yeah. Okay, great. So hopefully the eSIM will become a bit more of a standardized thing in the future. But for now, it is an iPhone XS, XS Max, and yes, it does say here 10R. So yeah, I mean, if you are on T-Mobile, or if you're looking to try T-Mobile and you have a XS, you could try out with the prepaid eSIM plans. Now, on the other hand, if you have, let's say, something other than an iPhone, maybe something from HTC, you might have a different time in this upcoming year, because apparently there's going to be, well, maybe or maybe not, a new version of HTC's U flagship phones. We have talked about this once or twice already on this show, that we may not be getting necessarily the next version of the U, but we might just get an evolution of the existing U products that are available right now. So HTC Taiwan president Darren Chen said that the company will evolve this year's U12 Plus into a 2019 version for the premium market. Nothing said about a U13, which I guess, that would only make so much sense. But refuting the claims that the company is getting out from that focus area. So we do have other devices around the U12 line. You have things like the U12 Life, which is the mid-range device, which I have to say, I actually quite enjoyed personally. I thought that for the price that it was and for what it was trying to do, it was a very reliable everyday phone. But of course, HTC, has a lot of other properties in its portfolio, including things like the Vive Pro and the wireless Vive Focus. So it's not as if we joke about it all the time, but it's not as if HTC is just going to go and disappear anytime soon. They definitely have their hands in enough cookie jars that they can stick around.
Blockchain phones.
The blockchain phone, yeah, as Jules is pointing out, the blockchain-powered Exodus 1 that actually sold out.
Yeah, your man was very, Darren Chen, he was very proud, saying that it sold out very quickly.
Yeah. So there's definitely, they may not be at the forefront of our consciousness, but they're definitely, they're like scrapping in the back. So it's great to see that HTC is not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. But any thoughts on we should be seeing a flagship from them? Maybe they should just move into these other properties, these other markets, and just focus on them. Is it more of a survivalist tactic at this point? How do you feel about HTC moving into 2019?
HTC's so for me, HTC will always hold a special place. I've started off with HTC back in the old days, and I've always appreciated what they offered. And they do. I mean, they have good hardware. It's not a question of hardware anymore. The cameras have been fixed. Things have been getting better. But this may not be a bad idea. This may not be a bad move for them, just to see basically how the market does in 2019, right? In the early 2019. So maybe update the U12 and give us something a little bit like that. And then maybe the U13, surprise, surprise, comes in the second half of 2019. But something to the effect of, staying in the forefront, staying in the mind, and people at least keep talking about them is not a bad idea. I don't think they should move out of hardware for smartphones. I think this is a market that they should always stay in, but they need to just be consistent and, figure out what they want to do quickly. Don't try to do, for the lack of a better word, what LG was trying to do a few years ago with, the whole what to release, when to release it. I think they just need to stay consistent and make sure they work and they provide what they're providing, at a reasonable price. That's the other thing that I hope that they consider.
Okay.
I would say as well that if they're going to focus more on releasing a 2019 version of the U12 Plus or whatever it is, that they also mentioned that they want to focus on their mid-ranges. they could hopefully shave off some R&D costs if they're just basically redoing the U12 Plus. They're not saying back to the drawing board, we need a new phone. They're saying we need to improve on our previous phone.
Exactly.
Which I think could help a lot. And then as well, the mid-range devices, they said they want to focus a lot on those, which I think were a bit more reasonably priced than their flagships. Not hugely more reasonably priced, but they were better. So, I mean, and worst case scenario, HTC always has their VR market that they can fall back on. Like Valve has been pushing them hugely for PC gaming, and that's been very successful. So, I mean, they'll always be around, whether it be smartphones, virtual reality, or blockchain.
Yeah, Jules has a bit of a worry in our chat here that this might be another reboot for the company, but you can only reboot so many times. I mean, but I do agree with you guys in the sense that like figuring out how best to evolve an existing product might be better than wasting all of the money to make a new one, only for it to flop later in the year. And I completely agree with that. And I also think it's a little bit better than, let's say, the Sony approach, which is like, what are we at now? The Xperia X50 Premium Max, whatever, everything compact. Like Sony every single year just puts out yet another phone and just keeps going. It's almost as if Sony is the reference design of Android. Like.
I mean, even years ago, like even with the original iPhones, or one of the iPhones a couple of years back, I remember Steve Jobs talking about Sony phones being an inspiration. And then, like, I think Sony just in general has always been an inspiration to OEMs throughout the years. And I don't know why. But it appears they have been.
Beautiful design, and they, it's something about when you hold a Sony phone. I've had it, just you always feel it's a different experience. They have a knack for basically the detail level, the design, the aesthetics. I remember my Z2 when it first came out in the US on T-Mobile. That was just, I loved that phone. It was water resistant, great camera, great hardware. It just looked unique. It just, that premium feel. Something about Sony. No other manufacturer tries to copy that for some reason.
The Z3 was nice. Sorry, I was just saying that.
Oh, no, you're fine. You know what? I will give Sony some credit. I did this every single year around IFA. I give Sony this much credit. They're the first manufacturer to look at the Snapdragon processor of the time and say, enable it all. Like, turn it all on. Like, turn on the super slow-mo, turn on the AI, turn on the face tracking, turn on all of the things that Qualcomm announces, but put it into an actual usable device first. Like they just turn
for better or for worse.
Well, yeah, because they do come out with certain features that may not necessarily land. But you're right. As far as a get all, they do definitely they give you what is intended to come out, because you don't always get that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, great. So, best of luck to HTC in the upcoming year. If it's a U12 Plus, maybe you'll see a review of it here on Pocketnow and over on XDA as well. Okay, so we do have one more story before we get into our break. I got a question. No, this is not the best story, okay, but I'm just curious. Over in XDA land, how do you guys all feel about the Cydia App Store?
Ooh.
Was it used at all? Is this because what we're looking at here is the Cydia App Store apparently had a security vulnerability that caused the developers of that particular application to just shut it down completely. We always talk about, I guess I can pivot my question to you guys as XDA fellas. Third-party app stores. How much do you recommend to users who come to XDA to use stuff like that? Because here we have a third-party one that's made for iOS, and all of a sudden it's got this huge vulnerability that caused them to just shut everything down immediately.
Well, one thing I would just like to say as well quickly, that the Sorek who runs it, he said that the payments are being shut down. They're going to leave it up, but it means like paid app repositories and stuff that were hosted through Cydia will basically die. But Cydia as a whole will still exist. Just through whatever means they leave it up. He said he's earning enough to pay out of pocket to cover service costs, so it's not a big deal. But as for like third-party app repositories as a whole, obviously you get piracy ones. I won't name them, but yeah, you get those ones which are dodgy enough.
Adam is suddenly the dark tipper on this podcast.
Well, one of them tried to take Google to court in the EU, and that didn't go well. But anyway, Android, for example, the open source app market, I think is a brilliant idea. Because if you think about it, if you're going with Google, you're going with this whole proprietary like service base that runs on every Android phone out there, more or less. And you're bending to Google's will, where you then have to pay like the $25 fee or whatever, and then you're giving them part of your earnings, which is something that Epic Games took issue with. While with F-Droid, they're an open source like app provider that'll run on any Android phone. All the apps on there have to be open source, all like everything released, no changes between the compiled version and the sources given. So I think there's two sides to it. That on iOS is a bit, you wouldn't get that so much as like, because it's already not an open platform as such like Android is. But I think it's good just to have that little bit of fragmentation, just to say there's an alternative.
Well, it's good that Sorg was able to figure out exactly where the vulnerability lied, because it is in the payment system, and obviously you don't want to have your users' account information, as part of the vulnerability. And not only that, it's also about making sure that people aren't purchasing things that they didn't purchase. So there's obviously that to be. But you're talking about like third-party app stores in the sense of Android, but in when it comes to iOS, you have the App Store, which is itself a walled garden, and shouldn't there be more room for other places to because we used to have jailbreaking, but now when it comes to iOS, like it's kind of hard to actually get a little bit more open. I mean, obviously iOS is not necessarily an open source software, but should there be other app stores to not really contend, but to just open up the capabilities of iOS to its users?
I think so. Competition will always bring the best out of any environment that you put it in, as long as there's a way to be able to trust the competition and make sure that you're getting the right type of software. So for us, we talk about Android, even XDA, right? We have XDA Labs. That's one of our biggest things. We provide the opportunity for developers to get direct access to consumers, and we don't, modify it. It's something that we provided as a service. But what, on iOS is just, I think the average user on iOS would probably not know what Cydia is in the first place. And I think that's the main concern. So it's the enthusiasts on that ecosystem that will probably start looking for secondary and tertiary, basically app stores. Sorry for the sound in the background there.
Or you could just be like TK and mitigate all this by having a landline.
I do have a landline.
Max calling to help you with your Samsung.
I was like, of all little things. But yeah, no, I think honestly, competition will always be a little bit better. And I'm going to hang it over to Adam real quick to shut this phone off.
I think you have a great point, though, that there should be a little bit of that. I mean, in Android, we certainly enjoy that freedom and the fact that there are other resources, because there are some cases where obviously some applications come out that are not fully pushed out. Let's say they're not OTA'd all the way to my actual device, so I can find that there is the app somewhere else that I can download, sideload it, and be able to get it. So it's that kind of freedom that I think is great.
Just one other thing as well. Yeah, I don't know how I forgot, but yeah, XDA Labs. that's
I know you like talked to that,
yeah, I just entirely forgot. But yeah, no, like XDA Labs, I believe gives like I think it's 100% of profits to developers. I could be wrong. It could be 90%. I'm pretty sure it's 100. It gives 100% to developers, as far as I'm aware, and I think that's a brilliant thing to have, just to give like developers kind of this incentive, even just to stray away from the Play Store a bit. Just because if you're handing over all that control to a company, you get similar to Apple's like ecosystem, where it's just like it's all in one place. If they ban you or remove your app, that's it. You're gone. Like you have no recourse.
Yeah, definitely.
You're at their whim.
All right. Okay. Well, that will do it for our main stories, or rather our news segment for today. We're going to go ahead and take a small break. All right, here we go. Oh, there goes my camera again. Jeez. I've been resetting this thing so many times.
What is it?
I gotta figure out what's going on with that anyway. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop into this. All right. The Pocketnow Weekly comes to you with support of Caseta by Lutron. Today, I want to talk to you about Caseta by Lutron Smart Lighting Control, brought to you by Lutron, pioneers in smart home technology. With Caseta, you can schedule your lights to come on at dusk, so your family always comes back to a well-lit home. And you can make it happen with the power of your own voice. Caseta is in touch with the most smart assistants, from Google Assistant to Siri to Alexa, and it connects to the most devices, including thermostats from Nest, smart bars from Sonos, and much more. You can control exactly how bright you want your lights to be with Caseta smart dimmers. In fact, our producer Jules recently bought some LED strips and connected them to Caseta so he can control their luminance for all-out raves in his tiny apartment. Or moody blues for those jazz sessions. Because, you know, if you ain't got that swing, it don't mean a thing, and Caseta's got that swing. You can have your smart lighting just as simple by getting it the smart way with Caseta by Lutron. Search for Caseta or hit up lutron.com. That's Caseta by Lutron. Welcome home to peace of mind. All righty. Okay, barring any more technical difficulties, we do have our main segment, but I want to check in with you guys. Like, Adam, this is the first time that I've ever met you. I want to ask if you to just give a quick, like, we're gonna get deeper into this in a second, but I want to get to know you a little bit more, Adam. So you're actually based out in Ireland?
Yeah, I live in Ireland. I live out in the Midlands. There are sheep. If I look outside, there are cows, like, out there.
That's incredible.
I'm using 4G because my home internet can't sustain a video call. Oh, and also I do computer science in college, and I really like technology, so that's a terrible mix.
Well, it's great to have you on, man, and of course we have TK as well. I just want to make sure we give our shouts to our guests again today, because yeah, like every single week we have an email chain where we talk about like who's going to be on this week and what topics we're going to talk about, and without fail, there's always Jaime saying, "Well, if I'm here, as in home, Honduras, more than likely, he's like, I'm not sure if my internet's going to be good, or he might be traveling, because Jaime travels even more than I do. It's crazy." And then you have Brandon, who, you know, he's got a family, and every now and then he might need to go off. So I'm glad that we have such a short list of people. Like, we have a short list of great people, and thank you guys so much for being on. So TK, I haven't talked to you in a little while. Like, how have things been on your end?
I've been busy. I've been keeping busy. At the end of the year, just focusing on my channel, trying to rework some stuff with also on the XDA side, on the YouTube side. We're trying to bump up our production there, and yeah, just keeping it busy. I love staying busy. That's my main thing in life. I find that if I just sit there around the house and not doing something, even if it's not productive, I just feel like I'm wasting time. So trying to end 2018 with a bang and start 2019 with an even bigger one. So
yeah,
good.
I'm right there with you. 2019 hopefully is going to be like one hell of a year. Are you excited for CES coming up? Like, are you jazzed about it?
So we experience CES a little bit differently, right? So we get to see different parts of it. There's the floor, there's the behind the scenes, and so on. And it is exciting as the best way of, your day starts so early in the morning and they end so late, but you're doing so much stuff. You're looking at so many new things. You're talking to people. You're working with people, and you get to meet up with your friends. That's the other really cool thing about CES. For me, is I get to see, you know, we get to hang out. We say hi, May. We see all the other guys. So for that part alone, definitely, that's the best way to start a year, and, you know, just work it and see what's coming out. So I'm really excited, and it's great. And it's also it's pretty close to us. That's really the nicest thing, right? We don't have to go so far. Like, it's not like IFA with like a 13-hour flight. So we could just, you know, for me, I'm driving, so I'm going to be driving over there, and so it'll be nice. It'll be nice, and I'm getting in there right after a little break, so it'll be good.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Right. And that's the thing, like CES crept so much closer to New Year's. So it's like, yeah, you're hungover and now you're recovered. Go to CES.
And don't get any sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm jazzed for it as well. Like, I'm glad that, you know, obviously there's this new home that I have with you guys, Pocketnow, and with the Weekly, that allows me to still be able to come out to all of these things and to have those resources. So I want my thanks for that. So only a couple of weeks away from CES, so I'm really looking forward to that. You can, of course, look forward to a lot of coverage, but I was mainly going to say we're going to have some awesome weekly content. So we're going to do a podcast out there. We can actually get you like face to face, TK, perhaps.
Yeah.
And in Adam's case, you know, maybe, I mean, obviously the better one for you will probably be what, Barcelona or like MWC or IFA, like if you were able to come
one
out.
of those. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. So maybe Yeah, maybe we'll see you out there at some point. But
Yeah,
you know, we're
well,
getting a little we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. CES is still a couple of weeks away, but just days from now, literally 4. If you're watching this live right now, 4 days. Merry Christmas, everybody! We're so close. Christmas time is here. Happiness and cheer. I'm just singing the song at this point. But we do have a bit of a segment today because we already talked about gifts that we would give people in our lives that we may not have already gifted, or we are having a little bit of trouble figuring out what to give. We gave a lot of suggestions last week about that. We've already gone through a bit of a year-end look at 2018, giving a bit of a thought about. I remember that was the episode I did with Michael Fisher, where we talked about what our favorite devices of the year were. But now for today, there was a bit of an idea to do something of a Secret Santa, which when this idea first came out, I was like, how are we going to do this? Okay, so we're not necessarily going to be gifting each other in this episode. Yeah, I don't know. I can't even imagine what the shipping costs would be to get to you, Adam. But
wait, you mean you haven't sent me a phone?
It's in the mail. It's in the mail. Just
Yeah, better be.
It's in the mail. That doesn't mean it's going to get to you. It might just, it might just stay in the mail.
I was just trying to get it. I was trying to get it under control, man. Yeah.
So what we thought of is there's going to be like a Secret Santa type of debate thing. So what we're kind of doing here is matching a smartphone to somebody, because if you were to get a Secret Santa, if you were to be a part of one of these traditions or one of these scenarios, you would get the name of somebody that you have to get to know them a little bit in order to figure out what gift to get them. And of course, they don't know that you're going to do that, so you have to be kind of stealthy and sleuthy and figure out who they are and figure out what gift would be great for them. Unfortunately for us, we don't really have the luxury of all that. So what we have here is we're going to do a bit of an intro of ourselves, talking about ourselves for a little while, non-phone related. And then the other 2 people in this 3-person chat are going to debate as to what phone would be best for that user. We're going to figure out what Secret Santa gift smartphone would be best for them. So 30 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and figure out. I should probably just get like a timer up here. So So we're going to do 30 seconds. We're going to put that on the clock. Open
That's a lot of pressure talking about yourself, but not relating to phones, though, dude. But,
right?
Yeah.
That isn't that kind
It's
of
hard. I'm trying to think about
my
like
whole
what?
personality. What?
Yeah, you're just like that's half of. Oh man. Okay.
Isn't that's one of my biggest existential fears, that I cannot describe myself without saying phone. I used okay. I'm not even gonna get into one of this. I was gonna make a self-deprecating joke, but I think I've done that on this show. All right, we're going to just make sure my camera's working. Okay, Adam, you're gonna go first. I have 30 seconds on the clock, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm not gonna be like stop, but like I'm gonna let you know.
Yeah, of course.
That's it. I'm not gonna say 30. This is not a debate. We're not gonna treat it like that. But Adam, this is perfect. Like I said earlier, this is a perfect time for us to get to know you, and this is a great place to do it. So 30 seconds on the clock, and I'm gonna go ahead and hit go right now.
I'm 19. I'm a computer science student. I spend about 4 hours on public transport daily. I go out quite a lot, like with friends and stuff. I play a lot of games, mainly Counter-Strike, but so not much of a mobile gamer. I like tinkering with my devices. Oh, so like watches and stuff. I like music. I like watching movies in bed or TV shows, whatever.
All right, so that was about. All right, that was about 30 seconds. You went 22 seconds before you said the word device, so that was pretty good.
But it could be anything. It might be phones, man.
This is an awesome like social experiment. All right, TK, you're first to think about it. Yeah, okay. You're up next. You got 30 seconds to think of a phone or a gift or something that would match the 19-year-old at 19. I was already blown away the moment you said that at the beginning of those 30 seconds. All right, just make sure my camera is working again. 1 sec.
No, yeah, the camera's. Yep, here you are.
There we go. Okay. So, did I do it again? Sorry. But in any case, here, go for it. Okay, I'm gonna hit go right now.
Okay, So what I would probably recommend is just from based what I know about Adam. So Adam and I, we've talked before, we've hung out before. So I kind of have we've met before. So for me, I would probably say if I have to make a recommendation, would be the Mi Mix 3. And specifically the Mi Mix 3 in green, not in blue, in green. And I think that would be a great device that he could not only use it for great pictures, good battery, quick charging, wireless charging, but all the specifications that I think it would definitely fit into his lifestyle of what he likes to do on his devices. And, he can also tinker with it later when he's done, enjoying the original operating system.
All right, cool. So that would be 30. I have 30 seconds on the clock to give what I think would be a great phone, and I'm going to go start that right now. Oh, it didn't even... What? I missed the button, guys. Sorry. I'm going to start right now. I am going to do the thing that I think most gifters do, which is a complete, it's not the thing you're supposed to do. I'm going to inject some of my experience into your gift. So it is mostly about you, but it's also a little bit about me. You said that you're not much of a mobile gamer, so I would actually try to introduce you to the world of mobile gaming while still fulfilling the rest of what you said. So something like the Razer Phone 2. Actually will probably be one of my main gifts to give. That way you have all the media that you want, and you also have the ability to try out mobile gaming, and it might end up being something you're really into. Okay, so there we go. So we have about a minute now to be able to talk about these choices and what they like. TK and I can basically debate at this point.
Yeah, that's essentially what I was going to say. This is the point where both of us can start talking Okay, so I like your approach. I like the Razer phone. That's a good touch. You're right. It's a great gaming phone. I love the aesthetics of it. But the way I looked at it from the sense of what we're looking for is like an all-rounder, right? The Mi Mix is a great phone from the sense of design. You had an opportunity to play with that one, and I got a chance to. That's one of the only experiences I've seen, and hopefully I'll get mine next week. But the overall experience I think that Mi Mix would provide is just a tinkering experience. And I think the Razer phone, although a great gaming phone, you could still get a great experience out of the Mi Mix, especially because of the hardware and software combination that you get out of it. And of course,
what I found so interesting though is that you said the Mi Mix 3, which is a phone that's not widely available, and I was like, that's the thing. That is a unique choice.
So specific. So the reason why I said that one is the other reason is that one's actually coming out next month, from what I understand, in the EU, and it just started to actually release. It was released in Hong Kong a couple of days ago. And
yeah, that's true. It did expand into the EU market, and the tinkering stuff I can definitely support you there because MIUI or. Yeah, MIUI.
It is MIUI.
There. Mm-hmm. So like a lot of tinkering there. I guess I was thinking of tinkering more on the surface level and thinking of Nova and everything like that. But of course, gaming is what I wanted to inject into it. So, all right. So that would be
the winner. Yeah, I think you got definitely with the gaming, but it depends on what Adam likes, really.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on what.
Yeah.
Yes. You can now respond, Adam. This is so funny.
I hate to break it to both of you, but I actually have a Mix 2S and a Razer Phone 2.
Okay, that's it.
And the 2S is basically the 3, and I will admit that I much preferred the 2S over the Razer Phone 2 because the Razer Phone 2's battery wasn't great, and the camera is not that good. However, the Razer Phone 2 is a really good choice because I have been enjoying that specifically for watching Netflix. So I have the Mix 2S, which I use my daily driver, and then when I get home, I'll use the Razer Phone 2 to watch Netflix or whatever. So both of you actually had the perfect devices.
Jill says you got to pick one. Yeah,
yes.
You got to pick one, man. Pick one.
2S, because if I only have one as a daily driver, because I'm spending so long commuting, I do need the longer battery.
I can't fault you once. So the Mix 3, yeah, the Mi Mix 3.
Yeah, it would end up being basically So.
I can't fault you. I can't fault you for that at all because I was actually thrown. I already had my answer in mind, and then when TK said Mi Mix 3, I was like, crap, a full screen. Also, I mean, I can't deny that slider phone. It's just a joy to just snap that thing back and forth. All right, cool. All right, so Jules is going to take care of the timing for us, so he'll just let us know when the time is up. So I'm not worried about hitting it anymore. So what we're going to do then is go ahead to we have 30 seconds on the chat clock, let's call it 30 seconds. Tell us about yourself, TK.
Okay. I'm a dad, and I love running. I love sports activities outdoors. I love spending time with my family. I love capturing nature in any way, either be it in person or through other mediums. I love things that are functional in life. I love things that have dual purpose. I don't like things just to be good for one thing. If it's going to be good for me, it has to do multiple things, and it could be something I can carry with me all the time. So I try to have, I try to enjoy life as much as I can, behind the screen and in front of a screen and behind the screen. That's the best way to describe it.
Mm. Okay, so that's time. So I'm up for the first response. Okay, I think that I would actually think of the iPad Pro 2018 because it's sort of now you said you love to capture life, and it may not be the most the best way of capturing life with a tablet on the camera on the back of the iPad Pro, but it would be one of the best ways of experiencing the pictures that you have already gotten of nature, of your kids, of your family on the iPad Pro, which is one of its main functions. But it's also just it's a sleek device that I think you would be able to throw into any bag that you can bring with you. It may not be as portable as a phone, but it's also invaluable compared to a phone because it gives you that big canvas and the performance that you might need in order to connect all the parts of your life together. I think that would be my 30.
Okay. So, I mean, I know you, TK, and I know that you just like having things work while also, you like Android. So I would probably actually go to Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, simply because if you have a family, it's got a great camera, battery's decent, it has so many different features, it's kind of ridiculous. But I think just in general, for your use case, it's good enough and open enough that you can modify it and decently do what you want with it, while also just having it work, having it there for like taking nature pictures, whatever, being with your family, taking pictures of them, going on the internet, doing research, looking up anything you need at any given time. So I'd say the S9 Plus.
All right, so we have our crosstalk time right now. You mentioned about getting into Android and customizing it and all that stuff, but on the iPad Pro, you have things like Cydia. Oh wait, just wait. But yeah, I think that the iPad Pro personally is more about like the consumers, the just consuming the content that he might already have all of the tools that he needs in order to capture nature, in order to capture. I was sort of working under that. I don't really like assuming, but I would think that he already has a camera to be able to take pictures of his kids and of nature and whatnot, and then a place to be able to consume all of that media and to enjoy it, but also to be able to edit it on the fly without having to rely on a very small screen. That's the reason why I was thinking of the iPad Pro.
Okay, that's actually pretty fair. But mentioned something about being the portability of having the S9 Plus as a phone, because it's got a big enough screen for consuming content and stuff, and you can do basic video editing on the S9 Plus. I don't imagine TK would really want to be doing like massive video editing on his phone, so I figured whatever's there is probably good enough. I do agree with your points, though. I do see where you're coming from, but I think the S9 Plus would probably be better, or the S10 Plus, whenever
Lightroom iOS. Lightroom iOS. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. That's true. They are getting it first, but yeah. So is it my time to come back to answer both of you now?
Go for it.
So my first answer, my second answer.
There we go. This is so funny. We're picking things you have already. You're the worst Secret Santa.
I'm not trying to copy Adam. I'm not trying to copy. I don't have the newest iPad Pro 2018, so that one I definitely would love to be able to play with. If I had to choose between the two, I will always favor portability from the sense of. So to your point, Josh, you're right. I would, for me to take pictures, like the really best pictures I can take with me would be from the A7 III. That's just an amazing camera, and it's great camera, but there's the lack of portability, right? Whenever I'm around with my family, we're out in nature, I love to take my big camera, but 9 times out of 10, I end up taking the smartphone. So for the sake of not looking, how you doing, and we've all seen that, I probably would give it to Adam on the S9 Plus. It's definitely one of my top phones of 2018. If I had to put like the top 3, this would be the number 3 spot for me. It's a very nice, solid performer. It runs One UI beta, so definitely a winner in my book. Which is surprisingly is what I'm doing right now. I'm updating One UI.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, cool. So I'm officially over 2, and but perfectly fine. Like I said, I go a little bit outside of the realm a little bit. I inject myself in it a little bit.
You got it. You got it.
It's a textbook narcissist, right? It's totally. All right, so 30 seconds on the clock for myself. This is great. I have 30 seconds to talk about myself after I just called myself a textbook narcissist. Okay, so I am a tea drinker first and foremost. It's probably the thing I do the most throughout the day. I always have a bottle near me, like the one I'm going to show right now. I'm always drinking tea. I'm always trying to stay healthy. Health is very important to me as a type 2 diabetic. I'm always trying to make sure that I stay as healthy as possible. But it's also a mental thing for me as well. One thing that I want to do in 2019 is try and get back to things like meditation and to get back into mindfulness. I sound like a typical California hippie right now, but that's really where my mind is. So health and wellness are big things for me. There we go.
Okay.
And this is great because I'm saying those things, and normally for somebody to hear that, they would look at health and wellness products, but I'm saying it knowing you have to look at devices and tech.
I see through you. I know what you're doing.
Okay, Adam, you want to take first, or you want to go after?
Oh, Adam.
I want to go after. Oh, wait, I have to go now?
Yeah, because we're going in line.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, fair enough. Now, I'm mainly going. This is also kind of influenced based on me talking to you for the last hour, being the fact that that's the first time I have. I would kind of say the Razer phone, given that number one, you mentioned you like of gaming. But also, I think like in terms of like being able for recreational activities, like, because obviously part of health is, as you said, mindfulness and kind of like just recreation and being happy. I feel like for media consumption and gaming, that the Razer phone is a perfect phone. It doesn't sound like you're much of a photographer from your phone. I could be entirely wrong, but yeah, I just think for media consumption and such, I think the Razer phone.
Cool.
All right. I can't respond yet, so it's TK's
turn. No. This would be my part. So, so from talking to Josh, from seeing Josh a few times, I realized one of the main things that I think you would definitely appreciate, the reason behind that is because I think this will fit your life, and regardless of which way you go, I would say is the Garmin Fenix 5.
Ooh.
A smart. It's basically. Yeah, not yet. So my thing would be a smartwatch, or basically an accessory to your lifestyle, something that can be augmenting your wanting to go out, do exercise, being mindful of where you are, tracking your activities, being able to help you just get all your information. And the beauty about it is it's independent, so it means it doesn't really rely on a smartphone. So you could be an Android, an iOS, iPad even. I think this would work great for you. And I think it would be a nice little accessory to keep, something to switch around from the other smartwatches that you use throughout the year.
All right, crosstalk time.
I mean, I guess I think my biggest thing would really just be the smartwatch. I think is good, but there's not a whole lot you can do with a smartwatch, if you get what I mean. Like, it's good for like fitness and all that, like that kind of thing, like tracking health and everything. But
that was what I was trying to go for, yeah.
Yeah, but the one thing I would say is it doesn't have many uses outside of that. Like, it's not like a universal product. Like, when I was going with you, I was thinking, well, yeah, the iPad would be great, but I was also thinking from the sense of, well, you also need a phone, or like it needs more kind of functionalities. So.
Yes, no, exactly. So I went with it's hard to recommend a phone for Josh because Josh gets to play with a lot of phones, right? It's kind of like the guy that has all the toys. You can't really put a phone there. So I felt the health angle that I was trying to go with was something that would work, just something to help him augment. Now, Garmin makes great watches. There's a lot of other accessories that are on the market also that would help Fitbit and so on. So I think the approach to augment any existing phone he may choose to be with. So in a way, both of our gifts would kind of make a perfect example for him. That's the other reason why I kind of went with the watch. If he decides to go with both, he'll be happy. Now watch him pull out a Garmin and no. It's your turn, Josh.
You know what? I have to say, like, I wish I could, but I've actually never tried a Garmin. I really have not.
You got to talk to Jaime. Talk to Jaime. He cannot talk enough about that stuff, man.
Are you kidding? Okay, what's going to happen is if ever there's a Garmin in the, he's going to just grab it and say mine.
Yeah.
So I won't even dance. But okay, for the sheer fact that it's absolutely new to me, then I would pick the Garmin. I don't know what capabilities it has in terms of mindfulness and wellness, but I do agree with you, Adam, that even in this first, now we did just meet, and you are not entirely wrong that clearly gaming is something I enjoy, and it's something that I do to decompress. So you're absolutely right with that. So the Razer Phone 2 is a phone that what's funny is it took me a long time to review it because I kept playing with it. Like I could never actually use it as an actual phone because there was just this absolute bliss in just playing games on it. So you're absolutely right there. You also tapped into a new thing with me that I am a vlogger, so I try to have devices in order to take pictures and to shoot video and whatnot. But if my phone is not amazing at it, like the Razer Phone 2 is not, then of course you're right. I do have plenty of other devices that will help me all of that, including the camera I'm using right now. I'm using a GH5 as a webcam, for crying out loud. So yeah, there you go. It's just the cam link that keeps bugging out right now. It's bugging out even more right now. Look at me. But in this, I think that the Garmin is definitely like between the two, it makes the most sense for what I said in the 30 seconds, but also for the fact that I've actually never tried one before. So that'd be really exciting to do. All right, cool. So this was a nice little experiment. Yeah.
Yeah. We get to know a little bit more about your your co-hosts. That's good.
Yeah, we got this. I did pick a winner, Jules. It was the Garmin. Yeah, especially for the fact that it's absolutely new to me. I think the Garmin would be amazing, especially for the health stuff. It's funny because
outdoors, it's great with GPS tracking and offline. They've been knocking it out. They make really great hardware.
Yeah, I'm always looking for I'm always looking for new like health products and whatnot. Yeah, there you go. Jill said, "Yeah, just making sure," because it did sound like you. You know what actually makes the perfect sense? I'm just going to shout this out real quick because I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to talk about this on the show. This ring right here, the Aura ring. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's a sleep tracking smart ring. So like, if you wanted a product that actually encapsulates Joshua Vergara in a nutshell, it's this right here. I feel like. I could even. I mean, yeah, it's a great product. I'm going to do a video on it at some point, but I don't know when I'll be able to do that because sleep tracking takes weeks to establish a baseline, and then you can figure out how it works after that. But in any case, I hope everybody's staying as healthy as possible in this holiday season. Thank you so much for doing this little Secret Santa thing with us. It's interesting because we had every form of Secret Santa. That's my best friend. I know exactly what to get him, and all who the hell is this person?
I'm sorry.
Oh no, it was awesome, and you're astute for a 19-year-old. You're astute. You're able to deduce a few things about me, and it made a lot of sense. All right, cool. Well, before we get out of here, I want to say Merry Christmas to all of you. Merry Christmas to all of our viewers and listeners. Yeah, I hope everybody has a great one. Jules, Merry Christmas to you as well. I know you're scrolling around over there right now, so but I know you can hear us. So Merry Christmas to everybody. And on that holiday note, let's see if my camera is not going to freeze while I do the entire outro. And on that merry note, that is it for now. The weekly is just as much a conversation as it is a show, so make sure you make your voices heard either in the comment sections or by emailing us podcast@pocketnow.com. On Twitter, we have TK, who is the most complicated of the bunch, TKDSL8655 on Twitter. Not so bad. Adam is at Adam Conway IE. That doesn't mean Internet Explorer, does it?
No, it's Ireland.
Just checking. Our producer extraordinary is, of course, at Point Jules, and I am JV Tech Tea. You know me by now. I'm JV. I love tech, and I love to drink tea. Pocket Now is at Pocket Now on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube in English and Espanol, where you can find more news on the Pocket Now Daily and Pocket Now Adario every weekday. We would really appreciate your feedback through Google, Apple, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, or wherever you might be streaming us, because without you, we couldn't have been able to make this show for your eyes and ears for now 337 shows straight. Until the next episode, which is going to be right before the new year. Oh, there you go. My camera did freeze. Let me just do one last reset before we off here. There we go.
I got to say, I love the freeze frames. I'm going to be looking over this video. At one point when we had two of you next to each other, one frozen and then the second one froze. That's pure gold right there.
I'm gonna get tweets from everybody of just the derpy faces I've been making this entire time. Well, hopefully I'll be able to fix it for the next episode. But until the next episode, which will be our year-end extravaganza, have a safe and merry week, no matter what you choose to celebrate coming up. We'll talk again soon. Thank you so much for watching, and cheers, everybody. See you on the next one.